everyone, it's Keela here for Soy and Shea. Thank you so much for joining me for today's soap making video. For this month's Patreon design, I asked my patrons to give me suggestions for a fruit or vegetable puree that I could put into a soap. I put all those suggestions into a soapy jug, and the one I drew out came from Naty, who runs the Alchemist Oasis, which I will leave links to down in the description box, and she asked if I could use some avocado in soap. So that's what we're going to go and do today. Let's go. Okay, so let's get on with making the soap now that we've got the avocado ready. Now with the avocado, what I decided to use 2% of my soap oils. So I've weighed that out, and then I took some of the oils from out of here and I blitzed it together to make sure it is nice and smooth. I am going to give it a quick pulse with the stick blender before adding it into my oils, just to make sure we've got absolutely no chunks in there. Having used only 2% in here, I haven't reduced my super fat on here. If you are going to use a high percentage of avocado oil as an extra ingredient, I do advise dropping your super fat down a little bit, because you are adding adding extra fat in with this avocado, but at 2% I should be fine. Alright, so I've just given that another really good blitz, and now I'm going to pour it into my oils, mix it in a bit more, and then add the lye water in, and then we'll start separating it out for all the colours. I'm going to work in a couple of layers, so I have only just bought this to emulsion, so it gives me plenty of work time. In this one I've got a lovely dark green colour which is called Green Sage, and I've used it quite a number of times and it's just absolutely stunning. I do want a fair bit of that one in there, and then just to complement that I also have in here some Olive Grove mica, and I'm going to do a bit of a drop pour with that one in there. Pop the rest of that to one side for now and work on these. I am going to mix my colours in, then I'll add the fragrance in, and today I'm working with rosemary and mint, and really there's no other way to describe it other than it smells just like rosemary and mint. Alright, so I did actually mix those up quite a bit because I do want to make a layer on the bottom of my soap. And I'm thinking the last time I used this rosemary and mint, it actually did thin my soap batter out. So I'm really hoping it doesn't do that too much. Got my stick blender relatively cleaned off. Let's grab our fragrance oil here. It's a lovely clear fragrance oil as well. Let's pour it in, mix it up. I went for this one because it is just so clean and fresh, a real nice sort of summery sort of smell. And I always associate avocados as that sort of summery salad ingredient. I really like that sort of freshness, so I just thought that one was going to match in perfectly. And I do know that this fragrance also holds really well in soap too. Let's get all that mixed in. It's smelling so good and it's staying the right consistency for me that I'm going to need. I'm basically going to pour this in a layer on the bottom so it looks like we've got some avocado skin, and then on the next layer up I am going to do a lighter green with another green dropped into it, and then I'm also going to do sort of that pip colour that you get in the avocados as a drop swirl. So hopefully it will look like an avocado that's been cut open, but that is all nicely mixed in. I'm going to do an in the pot with these two just to give that sort of skin texture that you would get on an avocado. I have done an avocado soap before, and I don't know if I've actually done exactly the same design. I should go and have a look. Alright, so let's pour in this first layer, just very, very simple. It's a nice consistency as well. Alright, so that is that first layer in. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is the next layer. So what I've got in here, I have got some Hello Spring, and in this one I've got a mix of some grandeur mica with a little bit of bronze sparks, just to try and get that nice dark colour that a avocado seed might have. I'm going to pour, I don't want too much of that one, I want a little bit more of this darker green though. And then into my big pot here, I am going to put in, this is some jade mica, which is quite a light green. I actually don't have much of it left, so we'll put that in there, give it a mix, add in our fragrance oil. Alright, let's get some fragrance in here. I've given them a really good mix to make sure that we've got all the mica up and off the bottom, and that all of our uncoloured soap is mixed in to our colour base. Let's give this a mix, hope it loosens up nicely, because I'd like to get a really nice swirl going through the top. In fact, I'm going to do a swirl with the two greens, and then I'm going to do a drop with this goldy colour, and hopefully it might look like we've got an avocado, well, hopefully one avocado seed, but I know I'll end up with more. But that's the fun of soap making. Right, that one is done. Alright, so we'll do an in the pot with our two greens. And I promise these greens will come back to much nicer greens once all is done. I'm going to actually scrape it. I did consider saving some back to do a top, but now we'll just put it all in. Grab our mould. I'm going to try not to drop it this time like I did with my coffee soap. My arm is feeling much better today after actually having my weekend off, so I gave it lots of rest. Alright, that is looking really nice. Get all that poured in. Before I finish scraping the bowl, let's get this one in so it can actually drop. It has set up just a little bit, so let's stir it just to loosen it back up. Alright, let's drop this in and see what we end up with. I'm making a right mess today. We're definitely going to end up with more than one avocado seed in there, but I think it's going to look so good. Okay, so I'm really pleased with that, and it is now time to put the little embeds on. So I've made some little half avocado pieces using some soap dough, and I'm just going to put one on the side of each of these soaps, and I'm going to actually put them that way so you can see all of the detail. I am thinking this might still be just a little bit soft, so I'm going to leave it for about 5 minutes and I'll come back in just a second. Okay, so I've let this sit here for about 10 minutes, and hopefully this is now firm enough, yes it is, to actually hold my avocados the way that I want them to be held. What I am going to do is come down this end and put one that way, just so I remember. And now I'm going to finish popping an avocado, hopefully, on each of these soaps. They just don't want to sit the way that I want them to. that's it. Now, there really isn't much scientific evidence about how much of the fruit survives through saponification in terms of the vitamins and minerals that you find in different fruits. Some people will say, you know, things like kiwi fruit have a lot of vitamin C or something like that. But that doesn't mean to say it's going to come through your soap and survive that saponification. What we do know about avocado is that the fats that are in it will survive that saponification process. Whether the vitamin E, and I think it's got A and K in there as well, will actually survive is a whole other story. In fact, pretty sure vitamin E won't survive saponification from what I have read about it. But that extra sort of fat content that is in the avocado is going to give it such a beautiful creamy lather. Now, another question I often get asked whenever I do a fruit or a vegetable puree in my soaps is, will it go off? Now, it all depends upon how much you are using. I'm only using 2%, so the natural pH of a soap will help to keep it's safe, so it won't actually grow mold or go off or anything like that. If you are using large amounts, so say you have used what would be equivalent to say 10% of avocado in your soap, you are likely to end up with issues because of the extra fat that you've put in. You're likely to end up with the dreaded orange spot. You're also likely to end up with it going oxidizing, smelling rancid, and that sort of thing. So you do need to be very careful how much you put in, but it won't become an issue if you are keeping it low. And you also need to make sure that it is completely mushed up, pureed is the word I'm looking for. If you've got any big lumps of fruit or vegetable, that is also another potential issue because the soap can't encase the fruit or the vegetable and protect it with that pH level. So they're just a couple of things to consider when adding fruits and vegetables into your soap. Keep the percentage down low, make sure that they are fully pureed up as well. Alright, so there are all my little avocados in. Let me bring you down for a closer look. Okay, so there is my avocado soap in the mold. Gonna leave it sit here overnight, and then we're gonna come back in just a moment and we'll see what sort of drops and swirls we got in this one. Alright, so we are back to cut into the avocado soap. It's looking absolutely gorgeous. It smells beautiful as well. I did have a bit of trouble getting this one out of the mold. I thought I'd sorted out my issues with the Nurture soap mold by reducing my water, but it seems I have not, because it decided it was going to give me all sorts of grief trying to get out of that mold. I'm almost at the point of I'm looking for new molds. I've just had enough of it now because my other molds work fine with my recipe. There's something about the silicone mold on those Nurture soap molds that just drives me nuts. But anyhow, let's have a look at this soap. That is the inside of our avocado soap, and I love it. Looks like we've got several pips in there with those nice big drops. Really like the colour. Oh, look at that drop in there. It's like a drop within a drop. Absolutely gorgeous. And there is that avocado on the top. So really, really pleased with it. There is another one. Smells so good, fresh and clean. Just how I think an avocado soap should smell. I just think, you know, avocados are all about that sort of clean eating, that sort of thing. So I always go for those nice, fresh, bright fragrances with these ones. But there is another one. So I'm a little bit out of breath because I've rushed back from the post office. So, and it's quite warm out there as well. There was a beautiful breeze coming through the shop while I had it open today. It is the day before Good Friday, so this video won't be out for about a month, but it is starting to cool down now for our autumn time. And we've just had this absolutely stunning day with a cool breeze coming through, but I've just been out there and it is much hotter than it was letting on. Oh, I really like that piece. Look at those swirls through there. So I hope you've enjoyed watching how I made the avocado soap. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up in any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.